So proportional is how much power is going to get applied based on how far away we are from the target. So let's say here's our target, which is also called SV, or set value. And our set value is just going to be 100 degrees. And our proportional scale is 0 to 100. So the further away from our set value we are, the more power it's going to apply. So let's say this is degrees here, 10, 50, 100 degrees away from our target. So this would technically be 0 degrees. So if we're 100 degrees away from our target, we're going to give 100% power. As we get closer and closer to our target, we're going to give less and less power. So if we're clear down here at 0 degrees, we're going to command 100% power. Once we get here, we're only going to be commanding 50% power. By the time we get here, we're going to be commanding 10% power. Well, if we're only commanding 10% power, our temperature is just going to drop back down. So it's going to settle in somewhere here, wherever it starts to hold steady. So let's say it takes about 40% power to hold 40 degrees away from target, and that's where we're going to settle in, because it'll be less power if we start to go up, and it'll be more power if we start to go down. So that's proportional. And the bigger your proportional number is, if we take this and multiply it by 10, that changes your scale. So now instead of 100% power being down here at 100 degrees away, 100% power is going to be up here at 10 degrees away. So now our scale is between 10 degrees and 0 degrees off. So now we're going to settle in 4 degrees away from our target instead of 40. So the bigger your proportional number, and like it would want to keep adding, but since 100 is our max, it just caps out there. So this would be our range now of 0 to 100% power if we multiplied it by 10. Which is fine, except that now if we're starting down here, it's going to be commanding 100%, 100%, 100%, and now all of a sudden it's going to start dropping off. But we're going to just do this number until we settle in at our 4 degrees below. Integral is time-based. So here's our set value again. And now this one is going to be on a time scale of, let's just say 0 to 100 seconds. We'll call our set value 100 again. So let's say we're down here at 40 degrees away. So 0 degrees away, 100 degrees away from our set value. Let's say we're here at 40 degrees away, and as time goes on, every second it's going to add 10% of power. So 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever. It's going to keep adding power as time goes on until we reach our set value, and then it will stop adding power. It'll just stay at whatever. Well, plus 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. So it's added 50% power now to our baseline, to whatever we had been running at. And then it also works this way. So if we go above, now it's going to pull 10% away. So now we're going to be at 40% power, still holding at our set value. And it's just going to continue to do that. And so it's going to oscillate right around your set value as time goes on. And once again, if you multiply this by 10, it's going to add way more, way faster. So the lower your integral value is, the longer it's going to take to finally reach your set value. And the higher it is, the faster you're going to get there. Once again, if it's too high, you're going to see some oscillations. But there'll be a little bit longer oscillations than with the proportional term. The derivative term is a little bit different. So once again, here's our set value. It looks at rate of rise. So if our temperature is going up really fast, it's going to start cutting power. And if we're going down really fast, it's going to start adding power. So it looks at degrees over time. So if we're going up real nice and slow, it doesn't really care. It might pull just a little bit of power as we start getting here. It's gonna, but the faster you're going up, the more power it's gonna pull away. So what can happen if you have kind of a noisy temperature reading, it's gonna see these angles here are pretty steep. So on every one of these angles, it's gonna really start pulling or adding power. And so your power output curve can start looking like this, because the derivative wants to fight everything that's going on. But also, it helps because if you have your proportional set really high and you're climbing really fast, your derivative is going to start knocking that back as you get, and so you can have your proportional higher without your oscillations, because now it's pulling back on it as you're going up. So higher derivative helps get rid of these oscillations, but it can do crazy things to your power output, especially if you have a noisy temperature probe reading or not a very smooth reading. So the reason having too high of an integral number can be a problem is not because of integral, but because it lets you keep your proportional number lower. So if your proportional number is really low, you're going to stabilize at 40 like we talked about, and then your integral is going to make up the rest of that over time. Well, now what happens is if you start getting above, your proportional is not going to start pulling much out until you get way above, and your integral is going to slowly start pulling it back out over time, and over time you'll get back. But on a sort of a dynamic system, that can cause problems because it's slow to react like that. So if you increase your proportional and you decrease your integral, we'll make that 100 and we'll make that 0.1. Now you're relying way more on your proportional, and your integral is just to kind of make up this little last gap. But now, as you get above your target, your proportional is going to really start pulling away. Before your integral even has time to react, your proportional is going to be taken over, and it's going to say, hey, we got to get back down here. And then as soon as you start getting below a little bit, it's going to say, hey, we need to start adding in. Basically, like we talked about, that range shrinks as you increase your proportional, your 0 to 100 range. So it's way more sensitive to any variations. So it's not that the I term is bad, but relying too heavily on I makes you not rely as much on P, and then that's what leads to those flicks and crashes, because this takes time and this does not. This is instant. Proportional is instant versus integral takes time. And then where your derivative comes in is that if your proportional is too high, you're going to have oscillations like this, like fast oscillations. And then derivative knocks those down. So your derivative pulls power when it sees you climbing so fast. It's like, whoa, 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 back up, back up. So your proportional can be higher, but still avoid overshooting using derivative.